Help, I'm a fish.
It's recording, by the way.
Okay.
Oh,
Hi, I'm Steph.
No.
and I'm Michael.
Help, I'm a fish.
Hi, I'm Ben.
I'm Stefan, because I'm in his seat today.
And I'm Michael, because I'm on the bed today.
and we're...
Help, I'm a fish.
And we're... Animating in threes. As you might have guessed, today we are going to be talking about the... What year is it? What year did it come out, Michael?
Hold on. I opened up my notes, and I'm getting pop-ups for Yahoo. You want to hear what the headlines are today?
No.
This woman ran away from home and then became a millionaire, says Yahoo Finance AU.
Today we're going to be talking about the Danish animated film, Help, I'm a Fish.
No, I'd rather talk about Star's naked dress turns head on red carpet. Okay, let's talk about Help, I'm a Fish.
So we are three animators. Well, are we animators?
Well, we watch animations.
You animate.
We are three people who watch either an animated film or
Unqualified
series
individuals.
and talk about it from an animator's perspective, at least. Before we get into any of that, we are going to be talking about Toons We've Tuned Into.
Why were you looking at me that entire time?
Because you're going to... I usually look at Michael, but you're sitting there now.
I bet you haven't watched anything today, me.
What have I been... Okay, so the first thing I watched on Netflix, I really wanted to watch this because it was the most generic sounding thing I could ever see. It's called Rock Dog. It delivers exactly what it promises, and I loved it.
What is it about? Is it about Dwayne The Rock Johnson being
No,
a dog?
it's about a dog who rocks on his electric guitar, but it's also about saving his sheep and using magic powers. Also, his dad is J. Jonah Jameson.
What?
J.K. Simmons?
That too.
Okay.
It's actually quite a good film. It really fumbles on its story because it has like two stories that really don't intertwine, but it keeps trying to push that they do make sense together. There's a musical component where the dog wants to go to the big city and become a rock star, but then there's also the component where he has magic powers to stop wolves from eating his sheep herd.
So maybe become like that instead of the musician.
Yeah.
I feel like he has a responsibility.
That's where it really confuses itself because it doesn't really solve any of those problems, and then at the end it kind of just goes, oh, and everything's better now. The end.
Did you at least enjoy it?
Yes, because the animation was really incredible, and it was 3D, but it had that really nice caricatured 3D, unlike the Addams Family one. This one actually felt really rubbery and nice, and it also had a really nice 2D component that was really pastel, which was really nice. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. Aside from that, I finished Samurai Champloo, and that was brilliant. I loved the ending. It was incredible. I don't think the series is underrated, but it really doesn't have as much attention as it should. Like, it is a really well-crafted story, and the ending has the three characters face the ghosts of their past in a very unique and visual way. So I thought it's a very, very great series. I really loved it. But yeah, in summary, Samurai Champloo is incredible, and I love beatboxing samurais. The end. Michael, what have you been watching?
Help, I'm a fish.
Is that it?
Yeah. I still haven't watched Rocko's Modern Life.
Watch Rocko's Modern Life!
Ben, what did you watch?
The only thing I've animated-wise that I've watched is Star Wars Resistance. So there's been 2 episodes, I believe, since last time. The first episode that I watched in these last 2 weeks, which was episode 2, it was very I don't even remember what happened in it. But the third episode was quite good. It's them actually flying in ships on a planet, which was fun. Star Wars Resistance, that's the only thing I have been watching that's animated.
Alright.
Wait, no, by the time this episode comes out, I'll have watched the first half of the last season of BoJack Horseman.
But
and
you
I'm going to say right now that I'm probably going to love it.
But you haven't seen it.
Well,
You're not
by the time this...
telepathic.
What a state the podcast is in when we're just like, don't worry, we will have content.
Well, I'm not going to talk about it in 2 weeks when it's not relevant anymore, Stefan.
So we're going to talk about the fact that we're going to talk about it too late.
No. Stefan, why'd you question this?
Because it doesn't make sense.
Help, I'm a Fish is a 2000... Do we start this now? Okay.
Michael, take it away on Help, I'm a Fish.
Well, Help, I'm a Fish, tagline, a potion, put them into the ocean.
Wait, is that the actual tagline?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's amazing!
No, it doesn't actually have like a byline or anything, but that's like the tagline on the poster. But it's also called a fishtail in some territories.
Until Shark Tale completely stole that from them.
When that movie about a scary Will Smith fish, man.
It's
Do you remember
so
how they gave
terrible.
the shark a mold so it looked like Robert De Niro? Very clever.
Yes.
Anyway, so Help I'm a Fish. This is part of my trilogy of traditionally animated films from my childhood that I liked okay, but they're kind of bad now. And also, the plot revolves around things that shouldn't talk, eating a cereal and or potion, and then talking, and then they're bad now.
So the first one was...
That's my trilogy name.
Can you even say that trilogy name again?
Well, no. But number one was Help I'm a Dinosaur, and this one is Help
It wasn't Help I'm a Dinosaur. It's We're Back, a dinosaur story.
And this one's We're a Fish Tale.
You didn't get any of that right.
Alright, so Help I'm a Fish.
How many times are you going to say help I'm a fish?
Well, now you have to do it again, Stefan.
Oh my goodness.
We're Back, a dinosaur story. No. Help I'm a Fish. It's a 2000 Danish, German, and Irish co-production, traditionally animated adventure, science, fantasy, musical, comedy, drama, family film.
That's hitting all the
That's
boxes.
verbatim, just copied from Wikipedia. That's how it's described.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's all true, and it's, you know, a family film, so they have to hit all those targets to get people in.
I mean, it's a family film so much as there's a lot of genuine peril and kind of gore at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's even someone drowning, so that's great.
Yeah,
10 out
on
of
screen,
10.
you see his bum. Anyway, that's all I remembered when I was a kid. So, again, This is our segment, Sorry If We Butchered Your Names. These are all traditional Danish names, so I'm sorry if I messed them up. So there's Stefan Fjeldmark, Greg Manwaring, directed by Stefan Fjeldmark, Greg Manwaring, and Michael Henya.
That was a lot better than what Stefan does. So, congratulations.
And it was written by Stefan Fjeldmark, Karsten Kielerik,
Okay, take it back.
John Stefan Olsen. So most people here are just named Stefan.
It's really confusing me.
Stefan, did you also work on this?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
It's
You're
like
only
how
pretty sure.
It's like how the Marvel movies are just mostly dudes named Chris. And it stars the voice of Alan Rickman and a then unknown Aaron Paul.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
And I was like, during the film, I was just like, I'm going to try to picture him as Todd Chavez from BoJack Horseman, but I just couldn't. Because he's so young.
Isn't he also Jesse from Breaking Bad?
Yes, he is, but I haven't
Yeah.
seen Breaking Bad. So
Yeah, I knew.
can't-
Like, I haven't seen Breaking Bad, but I know the name from Breaking Bad.
Yes.
So it was really interesting.
I tried to imagine that face to that voice, but I could not. It's so weird. Anyway.
So it stars Jeff Pace, Michelle Westerson, Aaron Paul, Terry Jones, David Bateson, who is a really underrated voice actor. He's the guy that does 47 in those Hitman games. And Alan Rickman.
So, in the English dub,
Alan
at least.
Rickman doing his best Jeremy Irons impression.
But this was the...
I thought it was Jeremy Irons the whole time.
But this is the English dub,
This
though.
is the English dub.
Yeah.
It was produced by A-Film APS, Munich Animation, TV2 Denmark, Terrierglyph Interactive Studios, and EIV Entertainment, with the majority of the animation work done in Munich by Munich Animation. And it was distributed by Nordisk Film in Denmark, and the US and UK productions were handled by Hanway Films and Genius Products.
Do you know what else they've done by any chance?
Let's click the Wikipedia link.
Are you just reading from Wikipedia?
Yep. So Genius Products Incorporated was founded in San Diego, California in 1999. Owned the distribution rights to NBC News.
Okay.
Yep,
you know
that's
what?
it.
You can go back.
That's it. All right. They were pushed into bankruptcy by WWE.
What?
What?
You know what? Maybe you can just go back to your production.
All right, let's go back
notes.
to Okay, so Help 'Em a Fish. The initial release date was the 6th of October 2000 in Denmark. It was released on the 12th of April 2001 in Germany, and then the initial English dub release in Ireland was released on the 24th of August 2001. And the Australian release date says here, because Ben and I remember seeing this in theaters in Australia, and I swear that I saw it like really early, like the turn of the century early. But it says here that the Australian release date was around 2003.
See, I think...
Which is a bit later than I thought it was.
That's when I think I saw it, around that time. So that lines up for me.
It was very hard to find Help 'Em a Fish. Good thing we found a completely legitimate source of it
On the interwebs.
on the internet. Yep, we went onto eBay.
And we bought the VHS.
It was one of those super rare out-of-print collector's items that was like $450.
But we managed to
For the Help I'm a Fish Steelbook collection.
we managed to get it for $2 though, because we just wore down the owner of it. It was like, look guys, I just don't want it anymore. Just name your price.
So, Help I'm a Fish. The first thing it lists here is that the Danish teen pop girl group Little Trees performed the title track, Help I'm a Fish, bracket, Little Yellow Fish, close bracket. The song goes as follows. Fish! And as we were saying before, we can play this in its entirety because no one with any self-respect would lodge a copyright claim for this song. You never publicly announce your ownership, your claim to this. Let's read out the lyrics. I'm a little yellow fish, bracket. Yellow fish, yellow fish, yellow fish. Bracket, asterisk, giggle, asterisk, close bracket. I'm a little yellow fish.
Like, what the hell has this got to do with animation?
I'm a little yellow fish in the deep blue sea, comma.
Oh my
Won't
god.
somebody help me, exclamation point.
Are you gonna continue or go back to your notes?
Hold on.
These are his notes! This is all that's there! It's just the lyrics to the opening song, that's it! And then a little footnote that says refer to Wikipedia.
This is a Fukushima of podcast. Let me continue my notes. It wasn't such a big commotion, comma. Just the drop of magic potion, comma. And with a wiggle, a twist, a splash, and a splish, I was a fish. Help me. Do you want to take a whale bus? Want to meet a stupid shark? Are these the lyrics?
Doesn't matter what the lyrics are!
Do you want to ride a seahorse or hide in an oyster park?
Skip the lyrics, please.
The Belgian girl group K3 also recorded a Dutch version of the song.
I swear to goodness, if you start reading the lyrics of this one, I'm out of here.
So, do you want to hear the incredibly complex production history of Help 'Em a Fish?
There's been so much build up to it, I'm basically bursting with excitement.
So, a long time ago, in October of 1997, Stefan Fjeldmark, the film's writer, Michael Henya, and Greg Manwaring were hired to direct Help 'Em a Fish.
Good on them.
That's the extent of the production history.
What? Really? Oh my god, that's nothing.
Okay, so what this is, the production history that I read was basically just restating who the producers were and saying that they produced it. It has a very nondescript production history. If you directed Help 'Em a Fish and would like to call into the podcast and kind of, you know, explain to us the arduous creative process of getting Help 'Em a Fish off the ground, which, by the way, snubbed at the 2001 Oscars. So, development and the storyboarding of the film was completed in Denmark, but then the production was moved to Germany and Ireland for the final phases of the animation, colour, lighting, in order to maximise tax credits offered to foreign film projects in Germany and Ireland.
I mean, that makes sense.
Was all the animation just in that studio, like including the 3D? Because there was a lot of 3D assets in
It
this.
was initially completed in Denmark. It doesn't have much to say after that.
So I'm
Because
guessing
there is
it
a
was-
mixture
yeah.
of three-dimensional and 2D, traditional 2D assets.
And some of it was really good, some of it was...
I'm actually
It
amazed they
was.
relied on it so much, though. Like, there
Yeah,
was a
especially
lot
back
of it.
then.
Yeah, usually you only keep it, you like use it scarcely, not like every shot.
So the film had a $14 million around a $14 million USD budget.
Mm-hmm.
It took in
pretty good.
5.6 million at the box office.
That sucks.
Oh, that is harsh. What about at the...
A completely, in my opinion, completely undeserving flop.
Yeah.
It's a
It's a
decent
decent
film.
film.
It's a good film. What about... So the film follows 3 children, Fly, Starfish, and Fat Kid,
Stella and Chuck.
and Chunk from the Goonies.
Chuck.
As 3 children who turned into a fish help them. Opening thoughts. Help 'Em a Fish. I liked it. I thought it was good. Do you like Help 'Em a Fish, Ben?
Yeah,
It's much better than help
honestly,
them in a podcast.
I wasn't expecting to be any good whatsoever, but I quite enjoyed part of it. The pace of the film was sometimes rushed towards the start and the middle, I would say. But apart from that, like, the story is pretty solid. The characters were quite enjoyable to watch. There wasn't much of an arc for them, but it wasn't about the arc. It was more about the adventure of it. And the animation was pretty good too. So
The animation was 10 times better than I was expecting it to be. I was expecting still good, but I was expecting that weird kind of jankiness like we saw in Help I'm a Dinosaur. But no, this was really smooth and
Yeah, it was.
characterful and really, really good. It's got that weird kind of stilted, lost in translation kind of quality to it.
so sometimes the dialogue doesn't match up with the
the
voice work.
and also because like a lot of, I suppose, European productions, because they can't really ever make their money back domestically, they're always produced to cater to a wide audience. So there's a lot of there's a lot of cultural minutia that's kind of removed from them, and they kind of, a lot of those kind of low budget European productions tend to be quite, homogenous.
Yeah.
They kind of lack kind of a hook or like a really interesting kind of characterful quality to it. And this kind of has that problem when it's memorable and it's interesting and there's a lot of really, really nice animation and creative ideas in it, but it's one of those films that feels like it was produced for an international audience first and foremost, and it loses a little bit of charm that way when it becomes a little bit generic and homogenous. But for the most part, I think it's creative and well worth your time, and I'd show this to kids. I think it's I liked that Rhyme About a Darkness. Again, we always talk about Don Bluth. It's just bleak enough for kids to be vaguely frightened by it.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good amount of bleak.
Especially towards the end.
It gets incredibly dark towards the end. There are on-screen murders.
Yes.
As you guys said, great gesture animation. I really like the lighting quality of some of the matte paintings of stills. Has really good lighting, and they do shadows incredibly well in this film. I think the 3D assets, they look nice, but sometimes there's a bit of discrepancy between how it relates to the 2D assets.
There was only one time I really enjoyed the 3D.
But otherwise, I think it's a really decent film. Like, I think this overall, it's not as cult classic as We're Back, but it's actually more
I wouldn't call We're
refined.
Back a cult classic. I'm pretty sure people just hate that now.
I know, but it's more refined than We're Back was, considering we saw that
I
last
liked
time.
this more than We're Back.
We're Back is more nostalgic for me, but this would be the better film.
I think
would
We're
say.
Back is more characterful. It's a bit more kind of streetwise, even though it's still very awkward.
Yeah.
And stilted. It has very strange dialogue and is weirdly written and scary and unpleasant.
I actually preferred the arcs in this film, like character arc-wise. It was clear.
But I thought, but this is for young children as kind of a gateway into like a little bit, darker films and darker animation. I thought this was a very pleasant surprise. So, good job, Denmark.
No, so at the beginning credits, we have all these really cool 3D animals swimming through the ocean. And that was our
good
first
opening.
introduction. Yeah.
Good showing off of 3D assets. Nice cell shading.
Yeah, it was.
Really well integrated into the scene.
It was, yes. And it wasn't, like, you would expect the 3D to be, like, bad, but it wasn't. It was
It's
passable.
stylized.
Yeah.
But, no, it's right off the bat, this film is beautiful. It's really... For a low-budget production that, like, no one remembers and no one's heard, basically very few people have even heard of, like, looks really nice. There's a couple of issues with, like, they don't quite shade character, like, the cell animation of the actual characters isn't quite blended as good as it can be into the background. Because the background mats are beautiful. They're really, really, really nice. But characters aren't quite shaded in a way that blends them completely.
But that's also because some of the backgrounds, even if they're not 3D assets, the mats are really realistic, and then you have these cartoon characters. Like when the seahorse has his arms over a shell, the shell is realistically rendered, and then you've got this cartoon seahorse, and it creates that...
But, most 2D films do have that problem, though. It's just... This one was a bit more sticking out to Michael.
Yeah, but that's gone all the way back to, like, like the Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes always had that. Because Looney Tunes weren't cel-shaded at all. They were outlined. But they're not shaded in any way. And the backgrounds are always painterly and beautiful. And then as you move to the 50s, they get kind of more, like, weird and abstract. To contradict the point I just made, there is some really nice... salad background integration into this as well. There's a bit when the scientist, Professor Kook Man, is like silhouetted against his window, and it's this beautiful kind of like sunsets, light, God rays, silhouetting him. And it looks really nice, and he's integrated really, really well into the scene. He's kind of in shadow, and there's a lot of nice gradients and around the edges of him, and it looks really good.
For some reason, in terms of integration, the scene that comes to mind is when they're in the tuna cans on the
Oh,
conveyor.
was
yeah.
good too,
That was
yeah.
really good.
For some reason, just how it has that angle, and there are some 3D assets, but it's mainly 2D. It works nicely. Also, there's a lot of repeated assets. I cannot imagine
Yep.
having to draw 500 tuna cans.
No, there's a lot of, just the same.
I mean,
you-
that's
what-
what 3D was used for back then, just to do repeated assets, or really difficult assets to draw. Okay, so the almost first murder, which I found surprising, is when Fly almost steps on Stella as a starfish.
I mean, she just would have squished.
No, she would have died.
Nah.
He's heavier.
Nah.
He almost was. Were they brother and sister?
I think so.
Yeah, they were.
And then Chuck was the baby
Cousin.
sitter. Okay, the
Chuck was
cousin.
Also, can I say, this is one of the first animated films I've watched where the offspring of two other characters genuinely looks like an amalgam of those two characters. I really like that.
Although they probably made their parents look like the kid. To
Yeah,
be
well,
honest.
yeah, obviously they would have designed the protagonist first, but I thought that was a nice detail. He
Yeah.
does look like the genuine son of those
We're
two
talking about
people.
Fly here.
We're talking about Fly, who's the son of a lady and Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yep.
Dad looks comically like Billy Ray Cyrus. He's he's got his dad jeans and his jacket and his long hair and his cool 2000s goatee. There's a bit near the end when like they come home because these parents have left. Anyway, like the actual basic plot of the film is that some two neglectful parents leave their son and daughter.
They're not going to
Where
go.
do
They're going
where
out.
do they go? They go out. They go and dance on somebody else's veranda or something like that's
They're
the.
just going and having a night out. That's all.
They go and have a night out. They leave them in the care of their aunt,
Yeah.
their obese aunt that looks nothing like either of them.
She falls asleep. Fly takes Chuck and Stella fishing because he wants to go fishing this entire time.
They stumble across a scientist. They drink a potion. They fall into the sea. And they
turn
got to get
into
out of the
fish.
sea. They got to get away from David Bateson and.
But they
Alan
have
Rickman.
48 hours.
But did you like the bit? This is admittedly near the end when like the parents come home. And they're like, "Oogity boog, where's our kids? What have you done, you lazy bitch?" And then like they all run to the beach, and then like they're looking, they're shouting for their kids. They can't find them. They look for evidence of them on the beach. And the dad finds like
The fishing
the
line?
fishing line, and he looks at it. And he has this look of realization on his face, and I was expecting him to go, "My God, they must have turned into fish."
That would have been amazing if he did. But no, they found the mad scientist. So that's all. And then they eventually outsmart the kids as fish, outsmart Alan Rickman fish, and then they turn into humans again.
Yeah.
I just like how this guy is trying to sell in a wondrous way that here is a potion that will genetically turn you into a fish.
Not only
He
turn you
never says it turns you into a fish. He says it'll help you survive when the oceans rise. That's all he says. He never says it's going to
Yeah,
turn
he's
you
trying
into
to
a
find a
fish.
cure for global warming, and instead of maybe focusing on like renewable energy, he just
Like, let's turn people into fish.
it's
I
not
guess.
he doesn't look at like preventative measures. He does like remedial stuff. Like it's like, well, we're all screwed anyway. This potion can like it selects the most fitting or like ironic fish species for you to turn into.
Yeah, so Fly bangs into a Californian fly fish at the start, and that is like just like the most telegraphed. That's what you're gonna turn into.
There's also one for the Chuck as well, where when they land into the scientist's lair, he has a jellyfish on his head.
Yeah.
Oh, does he? I missed that.
And Stella. Yep.
No, she just starfish. There wasn't any telegraph for her.
But no,
No,
the
but
the fly one.
Stella.
What?
The word Stella literally means star.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Oh, I thought that was really obvious. Sorry. That's why I was like.
Oh, clever!
Anyway, I like the bit when they were yelling out for her, and it just sounded like Streetcar Named Desire.
Stella!
So yeah, they all try to find Stella in the ocean because Fly was an idiot and threw the starfish in the ocean, even though Chuck was saying no,
tell
don't
you
do
what-
it for 3 seconds before he did.
Fly's an idiot because he's like he sees a neglected fish on the ground, And instead of going like a logical person, this probably fell out of one of his tanks. He's like, I'm just going to throw it out the window.
Yeah.
I mean, he tried to put it in one tank, but there were piranhas
Look
there.
at this little
There's
starfish.
a million other tanks in there.
Couldn't he have at least gone, Professor, I found a starfish with pigtails wearing a skirt on the ground?
How do they get clothes when they transform? It doesn't make
That's
sense.
the stuff that I didn't like. In your head, you go, yeah, but then I guess, again, this is one of those
Yeah.
films that you could pick apart if you...
Yeah, really wanted to.
Yeah.
But
if
it's a kid's film, so
if
it
you're
doesn't matter.
If you're completely joyless and have nothing left.
So like me.
No, the logic doesn't make it doesn't matter. It's
Hmm.
for young children, even though it gets very kind of gothic and creepy
Yeah.
at the end.
So we after they search for Stella who fell into the ocean, we have a shark and the fish that cleans it. They turn into not humanoids, but they get smarter from ingesting some
Which
of
I
that
think is a
antidote.
little clever narrative push.
Yeah,
like, I like how
I like it.
I like how the potion that turns you back into a human can also turn fish back into people.
Yeah.
But slowly,
But
it's not
slower,
shown away.
yeah.
Hmm.
I thought it was a clever way of anthropomorphizing fish. Like it grounds the world in like not a reality, but like it has rules it abides by.
Yes.
Which
Except for,
except when it does.
foundations and building buildings. Apparently that can happen in like 2 hours.
Yeah, we'll get to the point when Alan Rickman fish builds an empire in like 4 hours.
But back to the transformation. I really liked how they
Really
transformed
clever.
from 3D to 2D. They did that really well, I thought. So, yeah, so we have this 3D shark. It's very obviously 3D, I will say.
Yeah.
But like
But integrated well enough.
yeah, so like they squished the 3D model about and then turn it into a 2D, and yeah, that integration was just really seamless and one of the best I've seen, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, when at the start they're just kind of like warping proportions, and then they slowly
Hmm.
transition. But no, I like it. I like that. Like they start off as like
You know, like how all
emotionless monsters, and then they get some character. It's
yeah,
really,
and I like
neat.
how most of the non-sentient fish and stuff are 3D. So the only exception I can think of is the seahorse.
Yeah.
Yes, but even the seahorse is anthropomorphized to an extent
Yes,
already.
but
So
it didn't have the intelligent stuff in it.
yeah,
though.
it doesn't matter.
No, it
But,
doesn't matter, but I just think that's like the one exception I can think of that wasn't 3D before it got their potion.
But no, good. Abided by a certain amount of rules. I couldn't tell if this was intentional, but did the shark get less of the potion, and that's why it was dumber?
I don't know.
Because I enjoyed that dynamic.
Yeah.
I liked how
A power position
that they have
shift.
initially like this strange symbiotic relationship, and then they continue that relationship as like a commander and a lackey. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, and the shark never eats Alan Rickman.
No,
So
even
good
though
on
he
him.
has every opportunity to.
He eats
Yes.
everyone else.
I like how Alan Rickman, when he starts turning into a fish, he gets a gap in his teeth.
Yeah.
Even when he starts to
So the
turn into a
potion
human.
knows like an approximation of what you should look like if you're
Depending
a person.
on your accents.
Yeah, it picks a hairstyle for you as well. It's a very fashionable, like, the potion in and of itself is, like, kind of sentient.
Well, it has to be, because
Also,
if
it's
you're going to be turning into a fish, you still want to kind of look like yourself.
Yeah. Also, there's very limited potion, but he uses it to anthropomorphize an
For,
entire
like,
army of fish.
Within an entire day as well.
Yeah. So Alan Rickman Alan Fishman, finds the antidote to the help him a fish potion and uses it to create an army of, like, semi-sentient marine life. To do what?
So he can rule. He just wanted to be popular, famous, all that sort of thing.
Also, within that time, he also set up a bus network.
Yeah. So they're in the water for maybe 2.5 hours, and he already builds infrastructure. So that's the sign of a good leader. Anyway, Alan Rickman.
I did not like his design at times.
I know.
Was I the only one who thought
I
it was...
liked it.
I liked how weirdly kind of posh and leery
No.
he was.
I liked his animation, but something about his big black lips contrasted against the white face.
His greasy mullet.
Yeah, it looked kind of wrong to look at.
I liked how kind of gross but like regal he looked. Like you can understand, like he looked like a leader, but like a leader who got to his position through kind of manipulation and chance.
Which he kind of did.
Yeah, no, so I kind of liked it. I liked the design of the David Bateson shark. I thought was good.
Yeah, the shark. Well, a shark design in cartoon.
Which is, I'm pretty sure that's again the voice of 47 is I'm pretty sure he's British. But
Oh, okay.
if I think the shark is meant to be Australian. If
Yeah.
it is, great accent. It's really good.
It is. I thought it was a bit too overplayed.
It's a little bit overplayed, but it's
But that's kind of what you have to do.
it's one when like I listen to it and like I can't. They don't do that huge mistake that a lot of non-Australians do when trying to imitate an Australian accent, which is when you do the vowel switch. Australians don't switch vowels. We like accentuate or like we stress vowels. No, I'm saying like New Zealand will like do a vowel switch, right? Like not to stereotype, but like if you say chips, the stereotype is that you replace the I with a U.
Yeah, chops.
Chips. But with Australians, we like accentuate the I. We're like chips.
Yeah.
It's different.
You want some chips?
Yeah, we don't say chops. Anyway, what's next? I like the bit where Alan Rickman builds an empire in 3.5 hours.
Yep.
In the Titanic, kind of. The Titanic
yeah.
in this universe crashed off the coast of Maine or whatever nondescript country these people live in.
Yeah, before we
just talk
continue
about it.
the thing, there's one part I wanted to say about, you know how we're talking about the transformations? Where Stella first transforms into Starfish.
Yeah, that's right. And she
Was anyone really taken back by how psychedelic that got for just that
it's
split
weird.
second?
Like she
bad.
smashes through this 3D glass and goes into
I
space.
like that.
and-
It was like a Kubrick.
Yeah, her 2D mesh started deforming, and it was
She went through a
really
Stargate.
odd.
I thought it was really good.
So yeah, the psychedelia.
Good
of
stuff.
that
No,
transformation.
I find it odd that from her perspective, that's what she sees, and then on the film when it's taped,
Yeah,
she
she's
literally just pops into a starfish.
Well, I guess like your brain just goes through so much. That's what it sees. So
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense to
But
me.
everyone else seems to take it pretty well.
Well, that's because they're more developed as people.
Except for Alec Rickfish at the end. That was a bit horrific.
That was really violent. Okay,
But
so
before
we
we get to that, no, I want to talk about the octopus. So they get captured by Alan Rickman, and then they make a deal with him. No, sorry, they escape, and then they have to try to make a potion at the antidote because Alan Rickman ran out of the antidote.
They apparently remember the song that was muttered
Yes.
by the scientists and can remake the potion.
Yeah, so what they end up doing is they have to get octopus ink, and they're like, "Oh, where are we gonna find this octopus ink?" We say as we see this octopus underneath us.
It's I love it in some shows when they do this sort of thing. It's usually not obvious, but you can tell it's an octopus if you look. This was so blatantly obvious that
Actually,
the
I
background
thought it was
an
a
octopus.
dead octopus because it looked very decrepit, like how it was
I
laying on the
didn't
ground.
think so.
No, it was so telegraphed that it was going to come.
I
to
knew,
life.
like, it's like, okay, just look around.
Anyway,
it's an
so
octopus.
then the octopus rises up, and it is half good and half bad, this octopus. The reason why I think it is bad is because on the rings of the suckers of the octopus, they're meant to be round, but they're hexagonal.
Yeah, why
you guys
was
know-
that?
So-
Didn't notice that.
Okay, so when you do 3D models, sometimes you can subdivide them, which means you make it a bit smoother and adds more polygons. So, like, if you have a square, if you subdivide it, like, say, 5-6 times, it starts looking like a circle because
Oh,
it's
okay.
refining it more and more.
Is it because there are no true circles in 3D animation? You can only get like a series of very, very small straight lines. Is that true?
Yeah, so all models ideally are made up of squares. Because the tentacles itself would be low poly, that's what caused the suckers to be
But
not
they
round.
mask that quite well with like the cell shading and how it's
Yeah, they did.
Like, it's
I'm not
integrated
saying
into the
it's
scene really
it took
well.
me out. I'm just saying it's just something I noticed about the octopus that wasn't the best, but the rest of the octopus was really
Also-
good, especially its face and its eyes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that was really great and like very menacing how they did
Because
it.
you gotta remember that a majority of this production work would have been done in maybe like 99. So pretty good.
Yeah, it's
98 and 99.
That's
yeah.
why none of it I can really say it was that jarring or that bad, because for the time it was made, it worked really well. I'm actually still just amazed how much it used that 3D. Like, usually such studios would say, oh, we have to do 3D for this scene, but let's not draw attention to it. No, these guys are quite brave to put as much as they can when they think it could. And that's a pretty bold move. I can respect that.
Yeah, they want to defeat Alan Rickman. He's not really causing any trouble, really.
He is at the end. He's kind of a jerk.
Yeah, when he becomes a jerk and actually targets the kids is when he's a villain, I guess.
Yeah, but why can't he just go like, look, can you just make me more potion?
No,
So-
why doesn't he just say, here, you drink it, you turn into humans, and I'll just keep the rest?
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make your underground ocean civilization. Just let them drink the potion, you jerk.
Yeah.
And then he goes to like even follow them into the lab when they decide, oh, he stole our potion. Now we have to go to the lab to get even more potion. I thought that was really good because Fly, he gets really injured. He gets slashed across the waist or something, or the
Yeah, which
fin.
is quite upsetting.
Yeah,
It is.
it was actually quite
His color
graphic.
drains.
The color drains,
Yeah.
like both of his eyes are kind of like his capillaries burst or something like that. It's really, it's grim.
It is, but yeah, and that's the darkness that comes into it, which was really good. So then Chuck, who has been criticized of like, oh, you're very logical. Why don't you think outside the box? He finally does, and
he takes charge. I was actually waiting for that to happen because this whole film was banking on the idea that Fly was reckless and he didn't really think. But for the first half of the film, I was thinking, yeah, sure, but all of his ideas to this point have worked.
Yes.
But it's when he gets injured that Chuck really gets to step up and he does all of his action moments. He stops the fan with like a fish on a fork.
So this is what you're saying. This is the career-defining moment of Aaron Paul. This is where it really broke through because of this performance of a jellyfish.
This is like the Spielberg wears back.
What a shame he never did anything else.
Yeah.
After this,
Sucks. Sorry, Aaron Paul.
they're really banking up with all those sequels that they set up with Help of a Fish. I'm gonna do the origin film.
That's gonna be
And
Help
the
I'm a
crossover
Dinosaur.
with the dinosaur
Oh
film.
yeah, when the dinosaurs were gonna drink the fish potion.
We have this chase between the kids and Alan Rickman, and Alan Rickman almost dies from getting chopped up.
And he does.
After.
After. You want to talk about how Alan Rickman dies?
Yeah. Also, how Chuck was defeating all those piranhas, that was good. That was a good payoff to the piranhas, I think.
I like how piranhas is an ongoing theme in this movie. It's like, there's the piranhas. There's the piranhas. For some reason, they always had the piranhas there, but they never did anything other than just be a nuisance.
Yeah, but at least they did pay it off, though, which I am glad that they did. And it was. But do you know what annoys me in this whole film? That Chuck, as a jellyfish, doesn't sting anyone.
No!
He doesn't.
What is jellyfish in this universe must actually be made of jelly. Like, even at the start when he has the jellyfish on his head, I was looking at that thinking, nah, Chuck's dead.
He should have died.
There's no way you can have a jellyfish on your head.
If you lived in,
and be alive.
if he lived in this continent, that kid would have been gone, just catatonic immediately.
Unless if the jellyfish around Denmark aren't poisonous whatsoever. and
Really?
Can't sting.
That not poisonous?
no,
right?
you can have completely like
Can you?
Yeah.
I'm only used to in Australia we have box jellyfish which kill you in one shot. So
Yeah.
I think they kill. They'd get close probably.
Unless you urinate on it.
Directly onto the jellyfish. Not even if it stings you.
Not the sting.
If you assert your dominance, it'll run away.
It won't swim away.
Let that be a lesson to you. Just if you see a jellyfish in the water, get out immediately and urinate on it.
Anyway, back to Alan Rickman. I want to get to this
So-
Alan Rickman death.
All right, so Fly, the psychopath, he's like,
I'm gonna start using my brain. And the first thing he does.
First thing, oh no, I know the reason I don't use my brain because it's filled with murder. So maybe Fly shouldn't use his brain because he's a sociopath.
Anyway, so
Who sets out to kill his enemies in the most violent, reprehensible way possible.
but it's a very smart way.
It's an
though.
execution.
Yeah, but that was.
Anyway,
not
so
why.
he
But
grabs,
also, Alan Rickman's an idiot.
Alan Rickman has the antidote now, and is like, "Oh, I'm gonna swim away with it." But Fly swims after him, even though he's very severely injured.
And he says,
goes,
you're not that smart. You don't know
"What the
6,000
square root of something is."
Also, nobody knows that. Nobody knows the square root of that 17-digit number you gave. No, and wait, no. I'll tell you what frustrated me. When he drank the potion, he's like, "Oh, fish man, do you know what the square root of 1 trillion, whatever it was, is?" And he drinks it, and he's like, 16. And then, like, I forget what the follow-up question is, like, but do you know what? And then he gives a follow-up question that is, like, 10 times easier than what the preceding question was.
But he still has to take.
But he still has to take more of the potion. Like the last question in his series of questions that get exponentially more difficult. The last question is, can a human breathe underwater? Question 1 was, what is the square root of this 19-digit number?
But that was the joke.
And the last one was, do people have gills?
That was the joke, though. It was meant to show that in the end he was still a stupid fish.
I
as
will
he
say that
thought.
transformation of Alan Rickman
Was gruesome.
to the human
Yeah,
because
because he
fish
doesn't.
was
He
so
doesn't.
gruesome.
He doesn't
yeah.
quite. He doesn't quite transform in a way that's like biologically sound.
Yeah.
Like his brain is kind of leaking out of his head.
And his eyes bulge out.
His eyes
his
are bulging
muscles
out, like-
go with. He's very hunched over.
Yeah. It also kind of grows him a little shirt to wear.
Watch
Yeah,
out for
it's a
that.
weirdly kind of gruesome.
And even how they end it with where he just goes. He doesn't even close his eyes. He just stops.
Yeah.
And you just
he
realise he's dead as he
suffocates.
just.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this really grim bit. Like, we haven't quite explained it or painted this vivid picture, delightful picture properly.
How is he talking underwater?
Well,
People can talk
ants.
underwater.
Just not
No,
well.
he can't.
Yeah.
What?
It doesn't travel far.
It would
because,
be it would be funny if the more potion he drank, just the less intelligible he started to sound.
Like,
He's just like, what's the square root of 16,423? Yeah, and then they get out of the water. They
Oh,
go,
but they think that Fly hasn't transformed into a fish.
but he has.
Has into a human, I mean.
Yeah.
And we get this, like, everyone's really sad because they think they found Fly's body. And then Chuck is really sad and he tries to save him. But then the aunt, who is there inexplicably with the parents...
Actually, that's an okay that's an okay setup and payoff. They establish that they have that model earlier on.
Yes, it is very good. And then she steps in it, and you actually feel that dread with everyone and the music and everything. And I'm just imagining, like, imagine if the producers had enough balls if they just started to cut off the film right there.
Yeah, that was
I
it.
actually
Fly
thought
dies.
that part I did not like because it was just really bashing on poor Chuck. Like, you didn't need that scene. That was just making him feel bad for no reason.
I love
Yeah,
that scene. It was so dark.
Can you imagine Billy Ray Cyrus turning to Chuck and just going, "Why couldn't it be you fat piece of shit?"
And then he sings "Achy Breaky Heart."
Yeah.
Anyway, it turns out the Fly did turn back into a human.
No,
And
he just
everything's
didn't make
okay.
any noise as everyone was talking and discussing about his death. He was just chilling in a barrel going, I'll
He
just
could have been
listen to all
knocked
this."
out
Just playing a guitar.
Knocked out from what?
from banging his head on something because it was flooded.
Or maybe,
I
you know,
guess.
the guilt that he murdered a man.
Yeah, maybe
All
that
that.
too.
Well, to be fair, it was still a fish, technically.
He turned into a man.
A half man. It's all good.
That guy's body is still floating around down there. And
Also, that guy's body, Alan Rickman's body, is like the size of a football at most because he was still in a pipe.
That's true, actually. He's,
Oh,
a
yeah.
he's a little man.
Little man, that would be creepy to find.
Yeah, it would.
Little
Yeah, if he
man-
grew any bigger, he would just be forced out of that pipe at the speed of sound. It was turned into like a mush.
Ugh. Or, don't even think about that.
It's like, imagine if like Ant-Man grew big in like a little pipe. Just like liquefied Ant-Man would just shoot out of the front of the pipe at the speed of sound. Same thing would happen to this guy.
Anyway, so we get to the end. Everyone's happy. Everyone's chilling at the beach. And then they turn that seahorse that Stella really liked into a
Not really
Land-
a horse. It's like a creepy,
land seahorse.
a land seahorse hybrid.
Yeah,
Scary.
it looks kind of weird.
Actually, I think it looks cool. I
Probably
liked
lays
it.
eggs. That's
That's
help I'm a
in-
dinosaur.
Help, I'm a fish. Anyway, yeah, so final thoughts. Michael?
Where mackerel, a fish story. I really liked it actually. Again, it's got that strange, like, cultural dissonance, I suppose, when you watch it, when it feels like it's made for a broad audience, and in doing that, you kind of take away little cultural minutiae or little things that might, you know, imbue the film with a little bit more character. So it almost feels like a strange fairy tale when it's set in a reality that's almost atemporal, and that you don't really get a good sense of place or where they are in the world. Like, it could be Denmark, it could be the United States, we don't really know. But again, that is probably intentional in order to get a bigger international appeal as possible, which evidently did not work.
Yeah.
It made no money. And again, like, the plotting is a little clumsy and motivations are a little awkward and a lot of stuff isn't really thought through very well. But as this little weird adventure that, you know, nobody's ever heard of, that, you know, has like enough strange creative ideas and enough darkness to be genuinely enjoyable, like, I'd recommend this to people.
Yeah.
I think if you have, like, not little, like, young kids, but if you've got kids who like traditional animation, this is, I think, is a suitable amount of weird and dark that, you know, they might enjoy it. So, soft recommendation. Help 'em a fish. A better time than any of us expected.
Yes.
And a significantly better film than it probably has any right to be, actually.
That's pretty much my thoughts
And beautifully
as well.
animated. We
Yes.
didn't expect that. Very, very beautifully animated.
Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts as well, Stefan.
Yeah, loved the gesture animation. Again, a clean style that I was really not expecting. Good balance between light and dark stuff. Underwater scenes, really well done. Like, I wasn't expecting the quality that we got. Except maybe that middle dance number where the fish was singing about his empire. That was a bit weird.
Oh, yeah, it was just like a copy of kind of like Be Prepared, almost.
Yeah.
It sounded
yeah.
a lot like Jeremy Irons.
Except I didn't watch it with sound because I thought it had been more amusing without, and I watched it from afar, so it looked really weird just seeing all these fish like dancing, and I was like, what the hell?
This might be why you didn't enjoy the film as much as I did. Since you watched it without sound from the other end of a bar or whatever.
Okay, that is the end of our discussion on Help, I'm a Fish. So next week, we are going to be doing the second Star Wars The Clone Wars episode, which is going to be the slavery arc, the Slaves on Zygeria arc. Anyway,
Go watch Help 'em a Fish.
Yes. So, that is the end of the podcast. If you'd like to contact us, recommend anything to us, or just tell us we're good /bad /middling, We are at animate3pod@gmail.com.
I have a request. So we wanted to do a trilogy, like we said at the start, of bad films from a childhood that you watch them and they're still bad, but also kind of not that bad. But they also have animals that don't talk, that they eat something that makes them talk. Is there another one of those we can watch, and we'll make this a trilogy?
Yes, that would be good. I would like to do
It
that.
has to fit those criteria exactly. You want to say it again so that people know?
No, I think they got it.
Okay.
So we are on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, and you can find us at most places where you can listen to podcasts. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you found a place. And that is all from us this week. Goodbye, everyone.
It wasn't such a big commotion, comma. Just a drop of magic potion, comma. And with a wiggle, a twist, a splash, and a splish, I was a fish. Help me.